trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again.
Hello, my name is Joanna Leal and welcome to my channel. Today I will be showing you how I color in and draw my crystal clusters. I'm doing this digitally, but you can use the same process to do it on paper, with markers, with pencils, with watercolors. I'm gonna start by roughly drawing up where I want the crystals to be with a low opacity brush, but you can use your pencil and just lightly sketch it if you're doing this on paper. I'm gonna do two different ones because I want to show some color variation and also some technique differences that I use depending on my mood, I guess. None of them is like the right way or the wrong way. You'll find that with art, especially digital art, there's many ways of doing the same thing differently. So it's up to you to see which one you like. I'm using a software called Paintstorm that I am really a fan of to do line work. It has a nice stabilizer, but it still looks nicely organic. I don't know. I find like Photoshop isn't really working for me when I'm doing line work, but it works for most everything else. But I'm still a big fan of Paintstorm, and I definitely advise people to install it and do the trial if you guys do digital art. Yeah, I try not to be like too neat with it. I want a difference in line weight. Here I'm doing the line work. I picked a clean art brush and I'm trying not to be too neat and have quite the difference in line weight, but it's up to you which kind of brush you use. You can tell mine is set to react to the pressure that I put on my tablet's pen, so if you're drawing this on paper it's easier to control even. I find that to draw some crystal clusters, it's good to have some reference pictures, but I've done them a fair bit. I love drawing crystals, so I kind of go into autopilot now and draw them. But as you can tell, I just segment the crystals randomly, different to each other, and just give them like smaller bits for the light to reflect on and stuff like that. Basically, I spent a lot of time looking at actual crystals, so when I have to draw them, I just draw inspiration from the ones I own or some crystals I've seen online. Here I am doing different line weights as well inside of the crystal cluster, and outside I'm just gonna outline it with sort of like a thicker line. I just want them to really pop, and I want the difference in layers of the crystals to be apparent. So we're just gonna help create that three-dimensional effect by adding an outline, and we're gonna do the same to the smaller crystal cluster as well. Now I'm selecting the color that I'm gonna use for the inside, and I'm just gonna roughly block out the area that I want the color to be. And for that I used the big brush and I just went around the cluster painting outside of the borders, and then with the eraser I'm just deleting that. Obviously if you're doing this on paper you're gonna have to do it differently depending on whether you're using marker, pencils or paints. After I've blocked out the area where I want the color to be, I like to go on the layer and lock its opacity on that little square there, and that makes it so whenever I'm painting I don't go outside the lines, so that's very useful to do on Photoshop and Paintstorm. So now I'm selecting the brush that I want, and I'm kind of locking where I want the shadows to be. The theory behind shading crystals is actually quite simple. You just pick a direction from which the light is shining, and then the opposite direction is going to be where the shadows are. So here I'm going to shade from the bottom right to left, and I'm going to highlight from the top left to right. You can just put some lines going across it showing that there's, I don't know, some phantoms inside of the crystals. Sometimes crystals do that, where you can see how they've grown and that they used to be smaller and now they're bigger, or sometimes they even break on the inside. And I think giving it that idea of transparency really pushes the crystal to look a little bit more whimsical when you're drawing it. Here I added some sparkly bits with a brush that basically just does some sparkles, and then I picked up the lightest color within this color family and I just gave it like the last reflexes. I have switched to Photoshop because I want to show you a different way of painting them. So instead of selecting the colors yourself, Photoshop allows you to do burn and dodge, which will basically lighten or darken the colors that you have in the picture. So I like to use that, and I started by using this when I wasn't as comfortable picking color palettes and shades and highlights that would go together. So this is a good way if you're just starting and you want to make sure that the tones all make sense and everything goes together. The dodge and burn tools are very easy to use. You can adjust the exposure and if they affect midtones, highlights, or shadows. Here I have it set for midtones and with 40% exposure. I just changed to the dodge, which is the one that gives it the highlights. And I'm just bringing out the edges of the crystals that I want to make look like the light is reflecting off from. I am going to make this set of crystals available as stickers and other things on my Redbubble. Let me know what you think about it, if Redbubble is a website you use or if there's anything else you'd be interested in instead. I have thought about having my own stickers that I sell on Etsy, but I don't know if you guys would be interested, so just let me know and I'll think about it and see what I can do. Alright, here I just am finishing up with the amethyst crystal cluster. I'm picking a nice little sparkly brush. So I put a little bit of pink on the blue crystal and a little bit of blue on the purple crystal, and as well as a little bit of pink. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and leave me a like if you like the video, and I would appreciate massively if you can give me some suggestions in the comments for next videos that you would like to see. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Bye.